And so it is. We do welcome a facilitator of various Coptic Fellowship courses of our Master Course series. She was personally one of my ministerial course trainers in years past. We do welcome Coptic Minister Bonnie Cripe. She's a PhD. She's an LMSW, and she has a CCH on her background. And she also is VIP for all of us. Bonnie is the owner of the Center Building, a holistic counseling and healing center. She has a psychotherapist, or been a psychotherapist for over 30 years, and is now focusing on life coaching, transitional life coaching, hypnotherapy, past life therapy, and healing energy work. She offers a variety of workshops on various topics and also loves to sponsor others at the center. So you can check that out. She can give details on a link to that offering as well. Tonight she has a topic that's nice, quite appropriate for this time. It's called transitions.
Okay, I'd like to talk a little bit. This whole year has been about transitions, I think, for a lot of people. We live in interesting times, don't we? There are a lot of changes happening all over the world, not good or bad, just change. It seems change is happening both on a global and on an individual level. Like many of you, when lockdown happened, in early March, and it seemed like we were not going anyplace for a while, I looked around and decided to catch up on things that I hadn't had time to do in a long time. And like so many of you, I began purging, reorganizing, rethinking, and resetting, both internally and externally. Like all high type A personalities, and you know who you are out there, there's a lot like me, I think. I set up guidelines for what I wanted to accomplish, made my list, strategies for accomplishing my goals, and of course, timelines for making completions. I started with purging everything. My rule, if I use it, I need it, or I love it, it stays. Everything else goes. A lot of charities were very happy with us this year. Not only are my closets and my drawers clean, and my home looks pretty darn good, best it's looked in years, I feel lighter within. It's been very freeing. Reorganizing. I took the time to decide what fits where, not only in my home, but in my life, internally and externally. If I don't have room for it, let it go. How many things, people, and beliefs do we all keep in our lives that really don't fit anymore? Rethinking. Being on lockdown gave me a needed block of time to contemplate where my life is now and where I want it to be going forward. Having some extra time gave me opportunity to think about how I would segue into a new direction that I felt Spirit has been directing me to go for a very long time. Resetting, adjusting my life to where I really wanted it to be at this moment in time. Thinking about my values, beliefs, and examining what's most important to me. I see what is happening in the world as a purging, reorganizing, rethinking, and resetting on a global level. It is change that needs to happen in order for a higher consciousness, a higher vibration to come into this world. Things that need changing are being revealed. It's like having an infected wound that needs to be lanced in order for the infection to be released and healed. That is how I view what is happening now in the world. It's been a really scary and tough time for many, a time of fear and loss. Many have focused on anger and feelings of being disenfranchised, deciding to blame others instead of looking within. But at the root of anger is fear. A lot of fearful people in this world. For many, it seems like our world is upside down and a place of complete chaos. Some people are having a difficult time knowing what is true for them and what is not. Discernment is not always easy to figure out unless you are sure of who you are, your goals, what defines you, and what doesn't. This year has been full of many twists and turns down the road. Too many people can't see beyond the moment. You can't see a bigger picture of life. They only see this small little moment. As tough as this has been for some, for others, it has been an opportunity to make changes that they've needed to make, a time to step back and rethink what life is about and what they wanted their life to look like. And a lot of people are spending more time with their families. A lot of people are rethinking their careers, rethinking what their life is about in general. This is a time and an opportunity to do something different, a time to take a leap of faith, to try something new, a time to step into the unknown. No guarantees, a time to follow where spirit is leading. Change is the only constant in life. How many times have we heard that? But change can be scary for a lot of people, but it can also bring freedom and an opportunity to grow. When going through change, ask yourself, what am I going to line up to? Principles, truth, integrity, ethics, or anger, fear, and hate, blaming others for your problems? It's important to stand in your truth no matter what you may think. But to stand in your truth, you have to be clear on what your truth is and who you are and what you truly believe in. It's important not to allow yourself to be knocked off center with every new event that happens in life. It's important to stay centered, but I realize sometimes that's not so easy. One of the things that I found is the 5 agreements has been really helpful to me. The authors are Don Miguel Ruiz and his son, Don Jose Ruiz. And I found it very helpful, and I'd like to share it with you. The agreements are based on Toltec wisdom. Toltec scientists were scientists and artists who formed a society to explore and conserve spiritual knowledge and the practices of the ancient ones. They came together as masters and students. Over time, they were forced to conceal the ancient wisdom and maintained its existence in obscurity. Kind of sounds a lot like the Coptics and a lot of other esoteric teachings. The knowledge was passed down through generations by different lineages of masters. But now it's time to share this wisdom once again. When you practice the first 4 agreements, they can take you to a deeper level of awareness of your authentic self. The 5th agreement is about seeing your whole reality with the eyes of truth. It's about accepting yourself just the way you are and accepting others completely just the way they are. Challenging, but with practice, it can happen. The result is inner peace and a feeling of centeredness, no matter what is happening around you. That is powerful. For me, a perfect example of someone with inner peace is the Dalai Lama. No matter what is happening around him, he remains centered. The only thing I've ever heard him say about China destroying his country, about leaving his people, and everything is happening is every once in a while I get a little irritated at the Chinese. That was the most off-center that he's been. The first agreement is be impeccable in your word. The word is your power of creation, and that power can be used in more than one direction. One direction is impeccability, where the word creates a beautiful story, your personal heaven on earth. The other direction is misuse of the word, where the word destroys everything around you and creates your personal hell. And we've seen plenty of that in the past few years, of kindness and not kindness, of all the different things. And so we've seen people create heaven, we've seen people create hell, just with their words. And words have meaning and impact. Are you telling the truth to yourself and others? Is it true is a powerful statement. Do you use your word to judge yourself and others? Do you use your words to gossip or put out negative energy about yourself or others? Or do you use your word to create a life of freedom and fulfillment in every way? Be impeccable in your word. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. From the Toltec point of view, our whole life is a dream. Many masters have said that every mind is a world, and that's true. The world we think we see outside of us is actually within us. It's just images in our imagination. It's a dream. We are dreaming constantly. The question is, are we aware of it? When we aren't aware that our mind is always dreaming, it's easy to blame everyone and everything outside of us for all the distortions in our personal dream, for anything that makes us suffer in life. To realize that our mind is always dreaming gives us the key to changing our dream. You are dreaming the story of your life. If you don't like it, only you can change it. We see the world and we see each other, not as it is, but how we are. Everything is perceived and filtered through our beliefs. Everyone sees the world differently. Everyone sees the world through their own filter and beliefs. It's not personal. It's only an opinion. When you don't take anything personally, you find a new level of personal freedom because you no longer have to rule your life according to other people's opinions. Don't take anything personally. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. Most assumptions are not the truth. They're fiction. One big assumption we make is that everything in our virtual reality is truth. Another big assumption is that everything in everybody else's virtual reality is truth. We start imagining what other people are doing, what they're thinking, what they're saying about us, and we dream things up in our imagination. We invent a whole story that is only truth for us, but we believe it. One assumption leads to another assumption. We jump to conclusions and we take our story very personally. Assumptions are nothing more than the lies that we tell ourselves. Making assumptions is thinking too much. Don't make assumptions. The fourth agreement is always do your best. Always do your best is the agreement that everybody can do. Your best is the only thing you can do. You're always giving 100%. That's always your intention. It's just that your best is always changing. From one moment to the next, you are never the same. You think about it, some days you got a lot of energy, some days you don't, some days you get a lot done, some days you don't. But we always give what we have to give every day. The fourth agreement allows the first three agreements to become deeply ingrained as habits. If you fail to keep one of the agreements, make the agreement again. Begin again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next. Eventually, the moment will come when the agreements become a habit. It's automatic. Think about anything else that we do in our lives, whether we want to exercise, eat differently, start new projects. We have to put time and energy. We have to keep at it, and we have to keep practicing. By doing your best over and over, eventually you're going to master the art of transformation. Change is the result of action. It's the result of practice. Practice makes the master. Always do your best. The fifth agreement, be skeptical, but learn to listen. Be skeptical because most of what you hear isn't true. Whenever you hear a message from yourself or someone else, is this truth or is it not truth? That's what you need to ask yourself. Remember, everyone is speaking from their own dream, their own perception of the world. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. None of us have exactly the same perception of the world. None of us has the same dream. People will tell you their point of view, what they believe is truth. You don't have to agree or disagree. Just listen. Learn to listen for the meaning behind the words. Listen with discernment. The more impeccable a person is with the word, the clearer the message will be. Listen for understanding. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. The 5 agreements are tools for living an authentic life. Practicing the agreements can change your life. You learn to take a step back and think about life differently. You find yourself becoming centered and, best of all, feeling a sense of peace within, no matter what is happening in the world. Nothing is good or bad. Life is as we dream it. Only you can change your dream.
Thank you, Bonnie. With so much change in the world, and when you have clients that come visit and go through their own personal things that are happening in their lives, what do you tell them when there's so much divide? And there's a divide within families now. There's divide within coworkers, political views. Not to get into that so much, but what is your approach towards helping them have more peace in this time of change with the pandemic, with just the energies? It's kind of an ongoing theme of some of the questions that we have from presenters on Sundays, but I'm just interested to hear what your take is on that.
Well, each person is different, and it depends on if they're in fear. It depends on how open they are to hearing. But most of what I find with all of us or anyone that I see, it's always about our own stuff. It's always about our own fears. It's always about our own wounds. And so I always focus on healing their wounds. And when we heal our own wounds, we see the world differently than when we're wounded. When you think about when you're in a wounded state, you see the world in fear and anger. And when you have healed your wounds, you become much more centered, and the world doesn't seem so scary anymore. And I think we have a lot of wounded people in this world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff coming out these days, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. Anybody else have questions for Bonnie on her comments and thoughts and anything of her presentation tonight?
I just want to say I think it was excellent, Bonnie, and I don't know why we waited so long to have you as our Sunday speaker. So
We've been in a pandemic.
yeah. But we've been on Zoom for a while, so I hope you come back and share your knowledge with us.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to see everybody.
Sure is.
Yeah.
I really thought your talk was excellent also. I think that you made some really wonderful points, about, well, I love the 5 agreements also. So I'm glad you brought that back with your talk, because it's certainly is a wonderful reminder to all of us. We sort of forget about things, but I think that, that focusing within is so important, isn't it? and everyone that's part of this group, we know about it, right? But sometimes it's still hard to remember to do it. So the more we can focus within and focus on that divine essence that dwells within us, the more we're going to be able to live our truth, and also to be able to project that love and understanding to others, to everyone. And that, of course, will help the whole entire planet.
And I think if you think about all the things that are happening in the world, instead of seeing them through the filter of fear, if we see them as, here's all these people who feel disenfranchised, people who feel left out, people who feel angry, people who have wounds, and all of this stuff is coming up. If we look at it as all is coming up to be healed, rather than, oh no, what's going to happen, and all the things that they have in the news. If we look at it through a filter of love, and we look at through it as a filter of healing, and put more light in the world. And when someone's angry, start putting light energy around them and look at what their wound is. A lot of times I think we can heal a lot more than all the chatter that's happening. It's like everybody's in fear right now, it seems. And I think we need to focus on love, and we need to focus on raising the vibration and the consciousness, because I truly think that's what's happening right now.
I remember Jim Gore, one of the first things he taught us was to project that light. And of course, back then, what was that, in the 70s and late 80s? Mm-hmm. And he said, if you're going to watch the news, send divine, light and love to the news.
Yeah.
Because you're helping to transmute that energy vibration. And that's really good practice. And we tend to have this feeling, I'm not watching the news because, but if we take on that essence of sending light and love and hope, and your desire is to help transmute the energies of what's projected out on that television screen, we can do so much for, our planet. And it's an easy thing to do, but not that I'm saying sit there and watch the news all day long.
Right.
But when you do, send divine radiant light and love, because like you said, they're all hurting. They're all out there hurting. And, they need our prayer. They need our love. They need to be embraced.
Yeah. And it's a lot easier to see somebody who's wounded and looks depressed and things like that. And it's a lot harder to see anger as fear and anger as wounding, And I just put light on the whole earth, because it's happening on the whole planet. It's happening on the whole planet. But I see it as a time of change and a time of transformation. There's so many transitions and so many things happening in the world right now. And I think we have an opportunity, every time we just heal ourselves and we focus on being light, we truly change the world. Just one person at a time, we can do so much more by putting light into the world and focusing that energy than being in anger and fear and getting caught up in everything that's happening. So,
Coptics is all about that. Anyhow, look at the prayers, the world prayers, all of those things. Hamid taught that, to radiate that light and love out there. And, John and Carl too, they created a long time ago this prayer. Let's pray for all.
Exactly.
Let's include all the groups, the different, metaphysical groups, the spiritual groups. Let's have them all involved in sending out prayer to the whole entire planet. That was a long time ago. That was in the, my gosh, it was in the 70s. Yeah, in the 70s.
70s, yeah.
And it became a much larger thing. Others picked it up. And but really and truly, I look back and see where John and really Carl started a big thing. That was a big, it's a small movement at the time because there weren't as many involved, but it spread. Yeah, it really helps for us to focus that direction.
Yeah, and Jim Gore with his light prayer.
Yeah. I give that to my clients at times, the light prayer, and talk to them about that.
Yeah.
Bonnie, I'd like to come at it from a different angle, if I might.
Okay.
Okay, the thing that I think can really be helpful to us personally and to those in our life is if we were to bring joy, laughter, frivolity, all right?
Sure.
And also, if instead of focusing on what's wrong or what we want, what we don't have, the expression of gratitude to me is a very powerful. So with the gratitude and with joy, I think that we can literally, there be powerful tools in transforming ourselves and those helping those around us to overcome whatever negative energies and thoughts they might have.
Oh, I totally agree. David Hawkins, in his book, Power versus Force, talks about gratitude as being a higher vibration than love.
Yes.
And yes, I that's one of the things I tell my clients as well is a lot of people that are having a hard time, I have them start the morning out thinking of 5 things that they're grateful for from their life. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I have them think of 5 things they were grateful for from the day. And I have them be silly. It's like, somebody let you in traffic, or you have 5 toes and you have 5 fingers and you're breathing. And so you're happy for that day and you're grateful. But it changes people. And a lot of people just keep doing it. And it just becomes a habit. You wake up in a positive attitude and you go to sleep in a positive attitude, in gratitude. And I agree. That's very important. Yeah.
Because gratitude is self-generative. As soon as you can't be grateful and resentful at the same time. So as soon as you step into that energy of gratitude, even if it's just that little thing like, okay, I'm grateful that this car is getting me where I need to go. Yes. Pretty soon, I would call it the gratitude game. And pretty soon, they were just getting deeper and bigger and much more much more expansive as far as, just not just surface things. So
right.
All of this reminds me of a movie I watched with my grandma the other day. An old Disney classic called Pollyanna.
Oh, yeah, familiar. Mm-hmm.
And her and her dad played the glad game.
Oh, nice.
Whenever they were down, they would go back and forth about one thing they were glad for in their life.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, that's excellent. Yeah.
And that becomes a habit. Truly, if there's something that's bothering you, and the more that you do it, the quicker you can change that type of a feeling over, the more that you are grateful. What if when we there's something that's really irritating us, then as quick as ever, change over, I'm grateful for, change that whole concept. And then whatever you're doing becomes better right away too. So yes, you can't have, those 2 thoughts at the same time, if you're, and like I said, the more that you change it, the quicker you change it. And it happens, when it becomes a habit, you just automatically start doing that quicker.
Yeah.
Well, and the more grateful you are, the more you attract into your life that what you're grateful for.
Yes.
So you're bringing more and more to you without even trying, just being appreciative of what you have.
Yes.
Ahmed Bey says that if you're depressed or feeling negative, to sing or dance, do something rhythmic, put on rhythmic music, get yourself into a happy space.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
And really that dancing and that singing, that adds so much more energy to the creation, and you can create things quicker that way because you're moving that energy through and putting it out into the world much faster and more pronounced than if you were even saying the words.
And Gerald Jampolsky says that fear is a cry for love. So these people who are saying these angry things are really looking for love. If we could look at them as somebody who's lacking in love.
Well, that's true. They say there's only fear and love, and only love is true.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. And everything that's not love is fear.
Mhm.
Or a cry for love.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think how fortunate we are as a community of people, light workers, haptics, unity, that we have these tools, that we were taught these tools. And a lot of people don't have what we have to fall back on when, we get in a funk or whatever. And I also think it's very important for us when we're out and about, like out and about in stores, to be especially kind to the person that's doing these grunt jobs, the cashier, the boy that's packing the groceries. We have wonderful tools, and we can help spread the love to those. And by brightening somebody's day, it might just cause a domino effect. So I just think I'm thankful for all the association I've had and the wisdom that I've learned over the years.
Brighten a cashier's day, you brighten the day of every customer behind you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And John and I, a couple times, we've gone through Taco Bell and we paid it forward, to the car behind us. And they're shocked. They're totally shocked. But it's fun to do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. If we know it, we should do it, right?
Right.
Plus,
And
tell me next time you're going to Taco Bell.
Yeah. Oh.
But, I think that's a good point that you make, Nancy, because you know what? For all the things we see on the news, I think there are so many more acts of kindness and acts of love and acts of gratitude in this world than there are the negative energy. The negative energy gets focused on, but there's so many good people in this world, and kindness.
I wish somebody would have a cable station on just good news.
Yes, that would be lovely.
Great idea.
Because I think there's enough material out there for that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Once in a while, you see some good things. And I really like that, when you're watching the news and they'll show this kind thing that someone did, or these children that, because of the pandemic, have come together or just alone really come up with ideas of making bracelets, and they give them out and send them out to the the frontliners and things like that. It's absolutely wonderful, and really and truly we are. They say the United States, there's so much goodness here. It's all over the world for sure. But when there's something that's going on, that's the time that people do come forth. I'll tell you, the other day on the news, they were talking about, and this person did this. This is in Texas, and when they had their big, huge hurricane, the last time, he owns all these furniture stores.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes, and he let people sleep in the place. He had 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And he has many stores. So he was doing this at all the different stores. And I said to Carl, I said, it's amazing. You think how much damage could maybe be done at the places. And he was saying that, it's not about us making money. It's about helping others.
Yeah.
And isn't that the truth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so those are amazing, beautiful things, to see. And he also said how cooperative everyone was that stayed there. They wanted to help. What could they do? And they were respectful of his place and so on. He slept, I think, 300 people in his different stores.
Yeah.
And that's big. That's somebody doing something really big. But we can all do those things, to some degree. Even today, am I giving, that cart at Aldi's to them?
Oh.
They didn't have to pay their quarter. It's not a big thing, but the person says thank you, automatically it brings them into a state of, a different level, a different, oh, wow, somebody's giving me something, they're caring about me.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be a major thing. Daniel Brinkley, in his Living in the Light, when he had his near-death experience, in his life review, said that he opened a door for a woman and smiled at her as he was coming out of a building. And in his life review, it showed that turned her around. She was getting ready to commit suicide that day.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that somebody thought enough of her to smile and open a door made her realize that she might have some reason for being.
Mm-hmm.
And he said it was just something simple. He didn't think twice about it when he did it.
Mm-hmm. And I think if we focus on being the light, if we focus on kindness, we focus on gratitude, we focus on hearing the other for understanding and not just judging, I think that's huge in changing the world. And it doesn't take a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a time of transition now, isn't it? So
for sure.
Good thoughts that you brought to us through Bonnie. Thank you for
Thank you, Bonnie, very much.
sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bonnie, very much.
Thank
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.